Hey, hey, howdy and hello, folks. Welcome back in. We are back to do draft 2 of 5 of our summer best ball tournament. You'll be a good one. Let's get into it. All right, we are back for our second round of this draft. Let's get this all set up here. There we go. Fantastic, like. And it is time to start the draft, so let's get it rolling. Looking at most of the drafts for this, even though it is super flex, at the 110, you're likely more to get that second wave of wide receiver 1 tier. So looking at this corner, I am going to reach a little bit and probably go Malik Neighbors, unless Hurts falls to me there. But mostly looking at Neighbors coming around the corner, probably going to try to either pick up Puka or see what kind of running back falls to me, like a Saquon falls to me. I'll take that on the turn, or Genty. We'll see. So streaming and rolling right through here. Rit must have had an auto or a Q set for Bijan. Well, there goes that strategy. I will see what comes around on the corner. I'm going to go ahead and take Gibbs here and get my receiver on the wraparound. Maybe. I already don't like my strategy. Yep, have to go with the roll the high T here. Gonna go running back heavy, wide receiver mid rounds, late QB, punt the tight end. Probably looking like what I'm gonna do. I've been mock drafting a lot and doing Malik Neighbors before the turn, letting the running backs go through on that turn, and then coming back and being able to get a wide receiver. See how much I screwed myself here if this doesn't work out so well for me. But really puts me at a spot where I can wait for running backs, kind of wait for that mid round, like Jordan Mason, Eckler, take a couple dart throws on those guys because I know week in and week out I'm pretty much going to have production for those two guys, except for obviously week 8. But you don't have to win them all to get to the playoffs. It's just when you're in the playoffs, that's when you got to win. Running through this first 2 rounds here. We'll start in the back end, work our way up to pick 1 because Harper's not there yet. Catch going wide receiver strong with Amon Ra and Puka on the corner. Scooter picking up CD Lamb and Malik Neighbors. I think that's a very, very, very strong start. I've got Gibbs and Genty, not as pretty as it feels. Imp comes out with Barkley and Mahomes. Nice start. Cranny came away with Jalen Hurts and CMC, which is just absolutely dynamite, especially if CMC is marginally what he was in previous seasons. Talon's got to be just happy with himself getting Bowers and Jay Jets. Ron has got to be thrilled as well, being able to come away with Jamar Chase and Brian Thomas Jr. So feeling pretty strong all the way down the board here. Space Aids finally probably happy he got himself some Burrow. Looks like Rid is going to be auto drafting some of his picks there. Mr. Always Right starting it off strong with the running backs and Lamar Jackson, getting Devon Achane and Bucky Irving to start it out. Money walked away with Jaden Daniels, Lad McConkey, some AJ Brown. Fantastic. Harperville came away with Josh Allen, Trey McBride, Drake London. So looking at what I have already, I'm either going to be looking at probably the quarterback or wide receiver positions, which is not great to start out with. I'll probably reach down and get Tyreek just for some explosion type play and go with something more like a T. Higgins, or just go completely high T and get Chase Brown early, completely punt the running back position. I like Mike's pickup of Marvin Harrison there. I think he has a big bounce back here. A lot of people are hesitant after what they saw last year, but if you look at the target share, like for a rookie, that was pretty decent. Well, I feel safe going ahead and getting JSN, and then coming down here and getting Tyreek. After these guys each pick a running back and or a quarterback. Although it is start 3 wide receivers, so it is a nice, solid strategy to go your first 3 rounds with wide receivers. Get all those elite players in. Shocked here, both guys went with running backs, Jonathan Taylor and Chase Brown. A lot of people looking at what they're going to get from Chase Brown. It's probably a high output back. Catch coming away with Stroud and Chase Brown on the turn. And Scooter getting his second back in James Cook. I will drop down here and get Tyreek. So looking pretty sketchy for wide receiver. Not the top. Garrett Wilson's not bad. Then you had Rashee Rice, Terry McLaurin, and it really drops down a tier here to Tet McMillan, Mike Evans. I wonder if Mike's not going to reach down for Alvin. Probably go Kyron here or T. Higgins. T. Higgins is solid wide receiver too. So I'll probably divide these videos up again for us. Do first half of the draft, kind of the starters of the rosters. Then move into doing a video where it's the second half, filling in the bench, a little more team analyzation, and wrap it up from there. So nice 2 easy videos to digest instead of one long one where you get tired of drafting half the way and end up scrolling the little YouTube bar down there so you can fast forward through all the picks and just see the team builds at the end. Loving this. A couple auto drafters going on. Fantastic. When it comes back around to me, probably looking in the tier of Cam Ward and probably Dak Prescott as my QBs. Really hoping that it does fall to me as Dak and then be able to go around the corner to Cam. They do have a bit of a gap in between them, so hopefully I'm looking at that, which is right down here. Dak is here. So there's even JJ and Trevor Lawrence. And then way down here after Michael Penix is Cam Ward on 88th. But I don't know how long I'm going to sit on just waiting on that second quarterback or make Cam my third. Looks like week 8 is going to be the week to play against my team. So since my pick of Tyreek Hill, we've got Garrett Wilson, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams, Kyron Williams, Sam Laporta, Breece Hall, Rashee Rice coming off the board. Looking at our top picks right now available, Amari and Hampton, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin. Small run of quarterbacks, which could be solid quarterback 2s for everybody. I mean, Jared Goff finished in the top 5. Wouldn't be surprised if somebody takes Amari and Hampton for their RB1 here on the turn between Money and Harperville. There it is. With either Travion or Quinshon Judkins being Money's first running back off the board. Yeah, it's not a lovely pick for wide receiver 2 there. He's got T. Higgins, ends up going Brock Purdy, but he had T. Higgins, Mike Evans, Tet McMillan, and DJ Moore, Devonta Smith. So you really are jumping into that solid wide receiver 2 range, which could hurting him just a touch as we get into later rounds when he's not getting as many elite wide receivers. But what's nice is he could finish out the draft with a lot of those dart throw wide receivers that have, second, third roles on offenses that are more predicated to like a wide receiver and a tight end or something. Eli rolling some dice here that Rice is going to be back. I like the T. Higgins as wide receiver 2 on your team. I think that's solid. Just a little scary with Rice being 1 until he's healthy, and then have a little bit less concern about what his role is going to be. Then Devonta Smith coming off, Drake May, Tet McMillan. It's looking like I should be able to get my quarterback here, Dak Prescott, before the turn. Really kind of screws Scooter's stack up, but I don't care because I'm cold-blooded. Would be fun to have Kamara as my RB3 though. That makes the turn. I might just do that. So Scooter getting his wide receiver 3 with Devonta Adams. Catch getting his second quarterback in Jordan Love. So what I worry about is we have a tier of wide receivers where it really starts to fall off by the time it gets back to me. So if I'm going to take a wide receiver 3 now, that's what I need to do. Not locked in on Evans. Wide receiver 3, though, not so bad. I am going to come down here and get. Oh, where'd he go? I'm going to come down here and get DK Metcalf. That's my wide receiver 3 for my team. Nice pickup of Kamara, Fields. I get Metcalf. I know by the time we finally do a draft together with me and Mike, we'll have so much to talk about between player discrepancies that it'll be fill up probably a whole draft with just how we're very different on our views. We haven't had a lot of time to collaborate and talk about our positions on players, so we shall see how that works out when we finally get back together there. I think Mike would go probably Quinshon Judkins for his wide or running back 2. David Montgomery becomes a strong play, and Jameson Williams, I think, has a strong play here, as well as Courtland Sutton. Yeah, like I said, Mike Evans not a bad wide receiver 3. I just was going more for an upside. Hopefully Metcalf has a good year with Aaron Rodgers, banking on that versus the potential decline of the age 32 cliff and having more good wide receivers on the squad in Tampa. As a Tampa fan, happiest I've ever been with the wide receiver room in Tampa. I think I haven't been this excited since Keyshawn Johnson came onto the squad. All right, so Talon ends up auto-drafting Xavier Worthy. Glad he's got a Q set. And then Travis Kelce coming off the board. Quinshon Judkins. Is that his running back 1? Yep, that's his running back 1. Not too bad. Chuba. All right, Ryan Ritt is getting all the running backs. He is going to be hating life. Mr. Always Right's got to be happy with his draft there, coming away with Lamar and J.J. McCarthy. I know he is a Michigan fan, so probably overjoyed with himself. Mixon coming off the board. This ends up being Money's first running back off the board. Wouldn't be surprised if he came around and ended up with like a James Conner or David Montgomery for his second. Harborville's got kind of a good mixed blend. Nice solid draft going so far. Really could go anywhere that he wanted with what is on the board here, as far as like Courtland Sutton being a solid wide receiver 1 for the Denver Broncos. Pickens, Jameson Williams, they are wide receiver 2s on their own team. Zay Flowers is at the top. So this is where you really get a big mixed bag of where everybody is with wide receivers. Some of them are the wide receiver 1 on their squad, but there's also wide receiver 2s that have pretty good fantasy upside. So Harborville coming away with his second running back of James Conner. I still think it's a very solid pick. Should have another solid year, late RB2, and just put in solid, receptions, rushes, touchdown, maybe 2 in a week. Nothing extravagant, but always solid. Keeps good, solid fantasy points going for your team. Getting George Pickens as your 4th wide receiver, not too bad there, money. Jameson Williams, fantastic. Ryan Ritt gets his first wide receiver, Travis Hunter, in the 7th round. Good thing he's got all 5 of those great running backs to help him out. Ooh, this round's flying a little bit now. I bet Mike was hoping Sutton fell back to him in this round. That would have been a great 4th wide receiver for his squad. Going running backs, I would guess David Montgomery. 3rd QB, no, too early for that. Jordan Addison could be potentially looming. Ooh, but I can get my quarterback 2 here. So I'm not going to let the dice roll because I think Scooter would be eyeballing Cam Ward. Getting 2 rushing upside QBs together would be fantastic for him. So I'm going to be a bummer and just take him in front of him. He probably will be happy with Penix and then coming around and getting some other pieces. Love another auto draft there. Go ahead and take away with Cam Ward here. Take his little bit of rushing upside. Come around the corner. I will probably end up going with my stack here and come and get Calvin Ridley. I think that ends up being the wide receiver 1. and my wide receiver 4. Calvin Ridley ends up being the wide receiver 1 for Tennessee, stacking it with his quarterback. Like I always like to do that. Then when I get to my next round, I could really start punting other positions and just really start loading up on whatever is available. Probably look to actually get a running back in round 9 and 10 because it really starts to fall off after 12 pretty rapidly. So as far as my tight end strategy, really am punting the position, looking at targeting, probably going with Hunter Henry, followed up by either Zach Ertz and Ben Sinnott, or looking at like Theo Johnson and Noah Gray, two of the guys I think that had no real offseason interruptions to what their path is to be able to get some targets. But yeah, Hunter Henry becomes the young QB dump off valve yet again. Very likely he can get up to 6-7 touchdowns with an upside of being at least double digits. Jerry Jeudy was definitely somebody I was considering taking at the 8-3. Just like to have that stack a little bit more than what situation Jerry Jeudy has at quarterback. Could be varying. Who knows when a different quarterback comes in, if they end up liking or favoring a different receiver or tight end. And it really changes the dynamic of his play through the year. So that's why I've been more reluctant, especially through redraft, to take Jeudy. I do like his upside. I think he did have a good year last year. But I also, putting out that Tillman video, say that I do like Cedric Tillman and really think that they play into a bigger factor into each other than a lot of people realize. Getting Swift, that's kind of rounding out the starting running backs. Pretty much only have the Dallas Cowboys left, and Tennessee, and Washington. Oh, I think right here, if Money's able to take Travis Etienne, he can shore up a nice running back 2 that's got upside to get himself back to a running back 1 territory if he has an on season. People starting to go for their third quarterback now. A lot of people have shored up their tight end position. Like I said, I'm just letting that roll down. I'd like to be able to get Njoku. I like the picks of Swift, Njoku, Godwin. I think those are great value picks. The late part of the 8th round, usually a flex type player range. So be able to shore up your running back 2, your tight end position, and your wide receiver 3. I think that's his wide receiver 3. Yeah, Godwin's going to be a good play. Might have to wait a little bit, but should be solid once he's up and running. But I don't think ETN ends up past. Yeah, there we go. Like I said, it was a good pick for money if he went ETN. All right, after ETN comes off the board, we have Pearsall, Stafford, Brian Robinson, nice solid RB3. If I was Space Aids in that moment, though, I would have looked at getting something that's a little more of a high flyer at my wide receiver and gone with Matthew Golden. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully get some big plays. Ends up as my wide receiver 5 on my squad. Not too shabby. If he has some big plays, a big week, should play out fairly nice. Now coming around this corner, we still have some great wide receivers. I've been stuck in the rut of drafting Kincaid. I'm not going to do it on this squad. Like I said, my plan is to go another round or 2, come way down there and get Hunter Henry. So still some play left in that. Can go quarterback 3 though, and look at somebody else a little more safer upside. All right, so there still is one wide receiver 1 that I would look to get at this range. So Jacoby Myers did have a good season last year, ended up playing well. That's not who. I would look to get Stephon Diggs here. Aaron Rodgers coming off the board. Now I'm going to come down here. We're looking at Khalil Shakir. I'm actually probably going to wait another round, throw a dart at Keon Coleman. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and pick up one more wide receiver before I look at the fall off of running backs. So, going to go through, see what we got for quarterbacks. I put Shadur on my list. I think he does end up moving himself into that quarterback one for that squad. Another one that I would look at would probably be Jalen Milroe. If Darnold doesn't have what it takes, he could end up falling off, and it could be a value pick there because of his rushing upside. Still don't mind the pickup of Russ Wilson, too. As it comes back, maybe I'll grab Russ and Wandale and then just spam running backs, but we'll see how the board plays out here for us. So drafting near the turn, no matter what side you're on, what's nice is during the early part of the rounds, before round 10, you're really seeing how they're drafting their roster and kind of can use that to your advantage. Like if we look at where I'm at with Catch and Scooter, they both went heavy wide receiver first. I went running back. Then I was able to come back and get 2 wide receivers. Scooter got 2 running backs. Catch went a little more balanced. Then he continued to get quarterback and running back. Scooter got another wide receiver and a quarterback. I got another wide receiver and a quarterback. And so as you see it now is he's got his 4 wide receivers. He's got 3 wide receivers and 3 quarterbacks. 3 quarterbacks. He still doesn't have a tight end. Neither do I. Think everybody else has one on their roster. So that plays better position for the tight ends just kind of floating down another round or two. I think if Dalton Kincaid ends up falling to the 11th or 12th, I might go for that and then still pick up Hunter Henry later. We still have Tucker Kraft available on the board as well. So let's step back here and kind of review things ever since the turn of the 9-10. So we had Darnold come off, Najee Harris, Aaron Rodgers, Stephon Diggs went to my roster, Cooper Kupp, Jacoby Myers, Jaden Reed, Josh Downs. I think a great solid pickup there by Ron. Gino coming off the board for Space Aids. Ryan Ritt getting a tight end at Jonnu. Ingram, solid pickup for Eli there. Warren is going to money. Well, I should probably specify that. We got Jalen Warren going to money and Tyler Warren going to Harperville, as well as Egbuka, and then Khalil Shakir going to money. Loveland going to Mr. Always Right. Trey Harris going to Ryan Ritt. Now we're back to Space Aids, who probably could use, let's see. He's got 3 running backs. He's only got 3 wide receivers. Probably should look at what is available for a wide receiver. We got Luther Burden. This really becomes, Mooney would be a good one, or Keon Coleman for his roster. Having that dart throw, get a locked in wide receiver for 3, but goes running back. So that could end up hurting him a little bit, but there are still lots of rounds near the end of the draft to start throwing in those wide receivers that really could play a role, could be more of a slot guy or third wide receiver on their team, but still have some decent games. So my hope is Charbonnet falls here, and then I would grab Russell Wilson on the turn. Yeah, this is an ugly part of the draft if you're not looking for a tight end. To me, Charbonnet is the last of the, him and Ramondre are the last 2 running backs I really look for as far as a handcuff. Really gets messy after that. Dobbins comes into play as well for me. But again, you've got another round or 2 before you're getting back to him. So here I can go Charbonnet and then come around the bend and pick up Russ. Actually, I'll let Kincaid go around the corner because I think Kraft might go to catch. So Charbonnet to me, whatever. Imp doesn't pick here. All right, so Charbonnet coming off the board, Rashad Bateman right before that. We are going to go ahead and wrap this video up right here, the end of the 11th round. And we'll come back with another video for you, recapping what's coming off for everybody's benches with a little team analyzation at the end. See how everybody did. Thank you very much, everybody. See you on the next one.